Okay, well, as you can see, I'm actually somewhere else tonight and I'm whispering because I've got a bit shy. Okay, it's the 17th of July. I really hope you can hear me. And I just wanted to show you something a little bit different, something a little bit new, something we've taken on. Come with me through the gate and we'll have a little look. The door needs addressing. Oh look, it's here! How did they get in? And I just want to show you one of the things we've been up to since the weeks and weeks and weeks since we last filmed. Let's take you on a little tour and then you can make your own mind up. Okay, we come through the door. We're obviously in a different allotment this week. And first thing on our left we have a shed, which I'm not going to open just now because I'm going to put my bag down with my keys. There's me, but you can have a look. It was actually more of a mess than this when we took it on, but we're in the process of cleaning this out. But a nice long shed, which leads us, you can see all the mess that we've taken out. We've got all these bags here. Need going to the tip. But this leads us into an absolute paradise. Mike's made a raised bed there. But, okay, before we even get started on the allotment, we can wander into the greenhouses. Yes, that's plural. We have two greenhouses on this side, little gap, and a greenhouse on this side. Let's have a little look in. On the way in, look at these established plants here. I mean, we've got red gooseberries there that I keep saying we. I think I've given the game away really, haven't I? We've got red gooseberries there which have pretty much gone over. We haven't really got them. But look at this. Okay, these greenhouses need sorting out. Hello, Mr. Vine. Look at this. We have inherited. Oh, let's see where it starts. It starts from there, all the way up. I'm not going to go all the way in, but look at it. Actually, we're going to have to get this tied up and sorted out, aren't we? Just tripped up. This vine goes all the way along to the end of the second greenhouse. I'm going to try and step over and film at the same time. All the way, all the way, all the way along. And then all the way back down. And look at this. We have got, I can speak up a little bit now. Look at the grapes. And what we're going to do, we are going to start looking after them properly because obviously we've got to thin them out, otherwise we're going to get very small bitter ones. So at some point when it's a little bit cooler, we're going to be coming along and doing that. But, oh, Mike's just turned up. Hold on. But yeah, how about that for a start? If that vine hasn't grabbed you, maybe the rest of the place will. Let's go and see. Okay, I've been waylaid by our little friend again here. He's leading the way. Okay, back into the third greenhouse, which has got staging both sides. And basically this has got a concrete base as well, so this is a place for sort of storage, pots, potting on and that sort of thing. But this, if we go out of here, so bear in mind though we've got a run of 3 greenhouses. There's our little friend. And we then come to this. Now also, this is about 8 o'clock at night, so we've missed the best of the sun. But with that, of course, we've also missed the heat of the sun. So, here we go. You lead the way, little fella. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Very sweet, though. Here we have Mike, already moving his strawberry plants from the previous allotment, and we've got a neighbour here who's given us some already. But basically, if we start looking now, this is where I would say the actual allotment begins. So we've got the front door, the gate, we've got a shed, we've got a triple greenhouse with the vine, and then we've got, I think, about 4 strips, or what have been strips here, right out of that hedge. You can hear how dry everything is here. I mean, that's just me. The hedge has been clipped as well, so look at that, so dry. But yes, if I walk up a little bit more and show you, you can sort of barely see that there have been strips going along here. So from this point on, from these onions that have gone to seed, there are basically 4 strips going widthwise across the allotment. And in them we are going to have mainly fruit. So we'll have our strawberries, we're going to have raspberries, blackcurrants, etc. I'm determined that any new fruit that we get is going to be thornless, because honestly I have been cut to pieces this week with those wretched gooseberries and raspberries and things. So yeah, already, I mean, I would say actually from here down to the front gate, so you've got to think past those greenhouses, is the size of our current allotment. Okay, and that might give you an idea why we're so excited about this one. Okay, so what we've got there is, because these allotments are so big, there's actually a gap in the hedge, so you can just cut through to your neighbour rather than going all the way back down to the bottom. But then if we look up this way, that tree in the middle there is a russet apple tree. Been there a good few years, meant to do absolutely beautiful apples. And if I can sort of walk you over, that is more or less in the middle of what is going to be our 4 plots. So the 4 plots for rotation, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, all around there. And each of those, well, we can see actually they've already been outlined. At some point they've had a brick outline, see there? And so already we have got our 4 rotational plots plus the 4 strips behind me as an extra. So we'll be going up the middle here. I'm doing all this and trying not to trip over. I used to fall trip over a cat. Here we have, look at that, russets already forming. My goodness. I'm so tempted to be so quiet here because it's so peaceful. I mean, you can hear a plane there, but that's so peaceful. Yeah, and back on the second side, I mean, this is how dry it's been. I'm sure this is a very familiar sight across the country at the moment, but yeah, slightly more clay soil than we used to, but you know, I think once we have a good downpour, this will be okay. And then we're carrying on walking up through our 4 plots. You might notice this little strange thing we've inherited. It's a banana palm. Yeah, that's just been stuck in at some point. And so we're going to keep that. I don't know if it's been given any attention at all, but we're certainly going to keep that. And looking back down, hopefully you can pick up just how big these 4 separate quarters are going to be. But then if we look down onto the floor, there's a clue as to the next section. We have got an absolutely glorious cooking apple tree. And if I just pan up here, just to show you, I don't know if you can see them or not, just how bounteous that is. I mean, I've probably get one in my eye. You know, it should be a fitting end, but it's huge. I reckon it's got to be 30 years old, that tree. It might well be past its best, but it's certainly producing fruit. So what this does here, this and the banana palm demarcates the 3rd bit of the allotment. So we've got the the shed, the greenhouses, the strips, then we've got our rotational beds, and then this last bit here, and you can see the previous person has tried to put a path down just here, is actually my favourite bit at the moment. This is going to be our natural stroke wildlife, stroke pond, stroke maybe chickens, stroke bit of an orchard area. Again, potting shed there, there's a compost heap there with compost ready to go. And let me just take you up. I'm sorry this is all a bit wibbly wobbly, but I'm trying to do it all in one take. Watch for that step. Even, you see, I'll tell you in a minute. If we go in here, this has clearly been where all the potting has gone on. You see over the other allotments there. Well, you can if you can see through the windows. But yeah, this is quite a big, if rickety space. But for the moment, it's perfect. There's pots here, there's canes, there's all sorts of things. And then if I stand in the doorway here and swing you round, this other half is more of a just standard shed. But if you think, oh, we can't show you, I've got the door closed. If you think here, we've got this beautiful view right down of the allotment. I don't know if you can see Mike on there, but you can certainly pick up the greenhouses and see just how far and how long it is. If I go round again, if I go to the front door, yeah, that's better. It's beautiful. There's Mike. There's Mike for comparison. But as you can see by looking round, it's in a state. This is stuff that's come out of the shed, most of which is just not going to be reusable and has just gone, well, it's just going to go straight to the allotment. It's not going to go straight to the allotment, it's just going to go straight to the other tip. And then even this corner here, I mean, that's bordering this allotment, but there's damson trees. There's, when we came to look round, there were elderflower in the corner, so there's going to be elderberries there. So aside from the trees we've got on the plot, we've got fruit trees down there. We've also got, we'll swing you around the other way. Like I say, you are just going to have to ignore the rubbish because that is to be cleared out. These trees here, there's a plum, there's a pear, and there's another apple tree. I think it's another apple tree down there. So again, this is going to be more of an orchard type area. So this is pretty much going to be, we'll just mow it. I think at the moment what we're thinking is we're going to have enough ground to actually plant in. We are actually just going to be able to mow it and keep it as a shed stroke seating area. The shed behind me could well become Mike's studio, but that's sort of a long-term plan. But another thing, I mean, look at the chairs. They've seen better days as well, but hey, they're useful. Another thing here is we've actually got, and we were told we had to keep this, look, apart from another banana palm there, bless it. Actually here, if I get down, there's a sunken bath. We've been told that we've got to keep that because, I mean, you can't see the water in it at the moment, it's so dry, but because of the newts. Apparently there's newts in the area as well. So this is a good excuse to keep clean or even expand this pond area. If you think of the pond of my other allotments, so small, frustratingly so, but we've got an opportunity here to create a really gorgeous natural pond area. It's already got plenty of planting around it, but yeah, I think once that's cleaned up, that's going to be a bit of a treat. And yeah, just everywhere you look, I mean, we agreed to this now about a month ago. It's been too dry and too hot to really come and do anything other than start clearing, but I hope you'll understand why we've fallen in love with it. It's quiet. It is just so peaceful when Mike's not rustling around in the background and when there's no football games on with people cheering in the distance. But even though now this, like I say, it's after 8 at night, it's just gorgeous. I really hope you can, I'm going close to you, I really hope you can hear me, because again I've got no mic on, but I'm very, very much aware because it's so quiet. If you can't hear me, probably the person who lives half a mile down there can, because it'll travel. So I just basically wanted to show you what we've been up to, because I'm aware it's been 5 weeks now since I did a video. And although my allotment, as we'll still call it, is trundling on, it's suffered like most people's have with the lack of water. I think what I've come to realise, and I touched on this in the last video, I've been getting quite frustrated because it's almost as if that allotment it is done, or at least it's as done. I've done as much to it as I can with the space that I've got, and yet there's still things that I want to explore, there's still things that I want to grow, and frankly I just haven't got the room. So what actually happened anyway, this was all quite fortuitous, probably about a month ago, this site actually has an allotment shop that's open once a week on a Sunday morning, great, run by community volunteers, etc. And brilliant for advice, brilliant if you just want like a couple of ounces, yes, still ounces, of grit, you know, at something like 6p an ounce, that sort of thing. It'll all get weighed out on the big old scales. It's brilliant. It's a whole video in itself. I'd love to do one day. And our neighbour's daughter had just taken on half a plot down here. And so we decided, after we'd been to the allotment shop, we'd come and have a little look at her allotment, which is actually just the one next door. And it was again, gloriously sunny day, as we have had before the start of the real heat wave. And it was just so peaceful. And it was just like we'd wandered right into the middle of the countryside. So by the time we'd walked all the way back up to the allotment shop, Mike had decided he wanted to put his name down, thinking that, for an allotment, thinking that, you know, usually takes a few years. Our last one took us 5 years to get to the top of the list. So didn't think any more of it really. And then about 10 days later, we got a phone call to say that something had turned up. Did we want to come and see? And any of you who've been and gone and got allotments know it's when you're offered something, you can't really say, oh, is there anything better? Or, you know, oh, let me have a think about it for another however long, or I didn't really want one just yet. It's a case of take it or leave it. And I came round, and within a couple of minutes, I'd made my mind up. Mike was at work, so I had to make the decision myself. But by the time I'd got to the door, the fact is we're right at the bottom of the lane. Again, so quiet. And as soon as we walked in and I saw that vine in the greenhouse, I just thought, that would take us years to have something like that. Plus, we haven't got anywhere at my allotment where we could grow it. So I was just hooked straight away. Of course, then as we walked up, I mean, you can never capture it all on film, but just how much space there is and how peaceful it is, it just got me. The apple tree, which I'm actually sitting under at the moment, so I could suffer from concussion any minute now if the June/July drop continues, because it looks like it has over there. And yeah, so I just said, yes, we'll take it. The story behind it is that a dear old man had it for many years, and he sadly became ill about a year ago. But while he had it, it was all absolutely beautiful, produced lots of crops, etc, etc. He became ill, his family took over for a short while and realised really they couldn't keep on top of it, and then sadly he passed away. And it just quite quickly got into the state that you see it at the moment. But that means that the bones are here. The bones are here, just by the shed that Isaac could be the studio and the plotting shed and everything. There's evidence of, there's been like a patio or something there just on the outside, so yeah, that can all be redone, and hopefully we'll be able to do it justice and bring it back to maybe somewhere like its former glory. It'll never be exactly the same, because no one's allotments are exactly the same. I think they do portray the character of the people there very much so, which is why I'm surrounded by dead wood. But I think it's a project, it's a long-term project, it's a project that was basically landed on our knees and we were told, do you want it or not? What could I say? What could I say? So anyway, brought Mike up that evening, and he fell in love with it as well. And sadly, it has just been too hot to get up here and do the amount of clearing that we've wanted to do. But we can see it. We've got the plan for next year. The beauty of getting it this time of year as well is hopefully we're not planting anything. Well, I'm saying this as I speak. Mike's putting the strawberries in for next year, but we're not planning on growing anything for this year. So it's clearly just going to be sorting out the structure so that by next March, February, March, we can get up and running with it. But it is exciting. But what this means though, is I had about a week of feeling quite sad, because even though this was so exciting, I was thinking how much time and effort I've put into my current plot, and how much it means to me and has meant to me, and how much I'm attached to it, and I really don't want to give it up. So the decision's been made so far that I'm going to keep my allotment on for the next year. We've paid, no, actually we don't pay the rent for this until October, which, I mean, considering how big it is, it's £40 a year, and then £40 or £39 for water. We've got a tap actually on site, so there's no wandering off with buckets or anything. But yeah, we've decided that we're going to have this. Keep my allotment. My allotment is nearer to the house, so it will be the one where I will plant quicker growing things, sort of, so your tomatoes. I was going to say strawberries, but of course we've got strawberries there. But your general allotment plants, whereas here is going to be longer term things. So your fruit bushes. We'll have the potatoes up here, because again, if you've grown potatoes, you know how much space they take up, and for how long a time they take it up. So we'll have, you know, on our crop rotation, we'll have a permanent potato bed. That frees up a bed at my allotment. We will have, I don't know, maybe the squash will go up here, because again, they take up a large space for a large amount of time. And we will have time and space to grow great big squash, not just ones that will fit in the space, one or two that might do. And it's just going to give us the opportunity to try so many new things. So, whereas it's quite scary, because I am well within my comfort zone in my allotment. I love it, as you know. I've got it just how I like it, even though it's suffered with the heat, as everybody's has this year. It's certainly not at its best at the moment. But how can you say no to something like this? It's about another half a mile away from home. So we have been coming up in the car, but it's 5 minutes, if that, in the car. Our neighbours, as I say, our neighbour's daughter is in the plot next door. Our over the road neighbour has the plot next door to that. So already we know people down here. We know it's a great community. It's a privately run allotment site, which is why I think this is so big. I mean, I think this site is, I would say, at least 4 times. We've got half an allotment site at the moment, half a council allotment site, whatever that is. And I would say this is at least 4 times as big, so say at least double the size of your average allotment, your council-based allotment. So you could say, yeah, 4 times the work, but 4 times the opportunity. Very, very, very excited, but also quite trepidatious. I don't know if that's a word. Anyway, oh, and yeah. Quite a few people up here have got chickens, and I have mentioned before we've had chickens in the past when we lived in Northumberland, and absolutely loved them, and I've always wanted to have them again, but just have not had the room. So maybe, again, long-term project-wise, it could be the fact that this top area here will be perfect for chickens, you know, where we can come and sit. The chickens can have a right good old forage, and give us some eggs in the meantime. But I'm just checking that light's on, because this probably hasn't recorded. So yeah, a bit of a strange one this week, and it hasn't been at my allotment at all, which, as I say, it's not great, but it's still going. You know, we're behind, but hopefully I'll get down there next week and let you know how that's coming along, if we've got cooler weather, because I'm not good in the heat, and it's the only time I can really bear coming down. So it's just been a case of getting to both the allotments. Mike's been coming up here, I've been going to mine, and watering and cropping as need be. But let me know what you think. Do let me know what you think. Do you think we're mad? Everyone else does. They all say, what on earth do you need 2 allotments for? But there's no time frame. There's no sort of, you've got to get this done by October or else. It is something we can do at our leisure. It is a long-term project. Long-term, maybe chickens, maybe a lovely studio for Mike. Maybe we can grow things that we've never thought of growing before. Chickpeas. I know Vivi grows chickpeas and Rekka, but we've never had the room to be frivolous enough to be able to just try new things. It's just been standard stuff we've grown. So yeah, it's given us opportunities. So a bit scary, but yeah, thought long and hard about it, and I do quite love it. It is a little bit of paradise. The sun's gone in now, but the sunset's just behind me over there, and it just gives a glow. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Have you taken on things that everyone thinks you're mad? Mind you, it's quite natural in my life. But yeah, if you don't try, you won't know, will you? I'm going to leave you with that though, and just, yeah, let me know what you think. I'm sorry I haven't shown you any of my allotment for weeks and weeks and weeks, but it is still there. It's still going strong. A little bit weaker because of the heat, but yeah, we'll get you down there soon enough. But I hope you've enjoyed this little look around. A bit different to normal, but you never know what's going to come up around the corner. I'm going to go. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.